Welcome once again to the newest edition of 3 In, 3 Out, the most unique Seahawks recap show in the multiverse. I'm your host, Clinton Bonner. I am joined today, as always, basically by the one, the only, the great Brandon Schultz. And Brandon, I am telling you out of the gate, Brandon, I got to tell you, dude. So last night, I go down to Forest Hills, Queens, right, to go see one of my favorite bands of all time. They've grown on me the last couple of years a lot. Lord Huron. Love Lord Huron. So I get down there, beautiful dinner, out with our cousins, walking down the street. And who do I see, Brandon? Who do I see? You're gonna get this one. Who do I see?
Matt
walking
Hasselbeck.
The street. Not Matt Hasselbeck. I saw my high school buddy, Tom Iovine, who I have not seen in 22 years. The guy's aged like fine wine, big Mets fan, big hug on the streets, like 20-something years. I see Tom Iovine. We go to the show. We have a great time. We get home late. I sleep well. I wake up. We're recording this podcast. I'm going to Yukon today, Brandon, to go play a rock show of my own with my band from 22 years ago. We're playing our reunion show today. So what I'm telling you, Brandon, is as we get going with this 3 In, 3 Out, I want to keep the Hawkra super positive, though it might be a little bit difficult after this Bears game, dude.
It might be a little bit tough because this game was probably the opposite of your experience at Lord Huron. It was not fun at all, and I probably would not do it again.
Yeah. Lord Huron was together, composed, awesome, rehearsed, on time, all those good things. So Brandon, what I'm saying to you and the good people out there is that I'm going to say this, dude, Omaha. So you know what I'm doing?
Audible. You're calling an audible.
I'm calling an audible, Brandon. I'm calling an audible because I already listened to all the other podcasts and the reaction shows and the woe and the dread. And yes, it's all deserved. It's not some Pollyanna, like, oh, we just got to bury this under the carpet. However, Brandon, are you with me if we invert this thing as if we got the shutout and say, we're doing 6 takeaways, 6 things that were actually good about this game, because all the bad has been talked about already. So just increase the Hawkra, turn the page, and just do 6 ins. What do you think, dude?
Now, this is unprecedented, and I could understand it when the last time we did 6 ins, I think, is because we got a shutout.
Correct.
If I'm remembering my show history correctly. And this doesn't seem like equally as worthy.
Yeah, right. But it is the preseason, right? So I feel in the preseason, with all the things coming down on our Hawks, we need to flip the Hawkra and go 6 ins. Are you with me?
I'm in. Let's do it.
Nice. All right, fantastic. Hey, before we get going, Brandon, why don't you tell the good folks where they can find all the amazing content, please.
Yeah, you can find us out at youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast or Seahawkers, one of the two, or just search for Seahawkers podcast on YouTube. That's probably the easier way to do it. And if you can search for Seahawkers anywhere you listen to your podcasts. So yeah. And if you want to become a member of the flock, get in theflock.com, help support the show. You can get in our Discord. You can get in our Facebook Ring of Honor group. We got our podcast Pick'em League coming up this year. You want to get ready for that? Just a couple weeks away. It's almost the start of the season.
It really is, though it doesn't feel quite right yet, right?
No,
However,
this is like, I don't know if you have some familiarity with this because you're in a rock band.
Yes.
Do you ever have those rehearsal shows that are just so terrible that you wonder, oh my gosh, if we ever do this at a real show, people are going to boo us off the stage? And essentially, we got to watch the Seahawks dress rehearsal live against the Bears.
Yeah, and they got booed off the stage, funny enough, at home, which was but deserving. It was piss poor. However, Brandon, don't drag me to negative town. I was
just getting the outs right out of the.
You're right.
Out of the way. It's
bundle
all
them all up
from here on out.
We all know what they were. Let's hit that button. Let's get to that first in. Let's do it. All right, just going to dive right in. So we're going to go pretty rapid fire here today too, because I've got this aforementioned rock show and I got to get on the road because I still got to do a little practicing. We got to tune up and all that jazz. So the tune-ups, that's a good segue, Brandon. Listen, short and pithy. I loved early on what I saw from Nuoso. Just Nuoso, first game, kind of not there, kind of get washed a little bit. Adam did a nice job saying on the rewatch, he's like, yeah, he was getting doubled a lot, which I don't think you and I think he's the guy who's going to get doubled in the regular season so much. But Nwosu, tackles for a loss, tackles at the line, kind of just showing up in that first quarter, and it was a nice spark. So over to you. What'd you like, or what do you got to say about the man?
Hey, I'll take a game where I actually noticed him doing positive things over one where, when you get double teamed, it is difficult to make an impact. And so, it was good to see him out there. I'm trying to think of a particular moment where he really jumped off the screen and I got fired up. It was probably, was it the first or second drive? Really, the defensive line on when Justin Fields was out there on the field, I thought as a whole, I got a little bit excited. They were moving fast. And then once Fields went out of the game, it was almost like they stopped trying, even though it was some of the same guys out there. I'm going to negative town again. Let's bring it back to the positive.
But let's stay right there, though. So, it was Nwosu in the first quarter, and it was like he was shedding blocks to the line, filling the gaps, and making tackles really good tackles right at the line of scrimmage, right? And that's on Khalil Herbert. That's with Fields out there. That's with the Bears, first stringers for the most part on the offensive line. So really, really nice. But so let's just combo package the second one because you went right into it. Speaking of segues, the other piece that I wanted to call out about the defensive line in general was, again, that first quarter, the vibe I get from this Seahawks defensive line, and we saw some linebacker stuff early. We saw a lot of not so good linebacker stuff a little bit later. That's okay. But the good stuff we saw, the way I framed it, I wrote it down was these guys look, here it was, violent, wild, not always under control, but fast and disruptive. So when it was Cody Barton slicing through the line early on that blitz that he kind of danced around the center, you saw more, Taylor. Yes, he jumps off sides. Mafe, a couple of good rushes. They look angry and young and fast. So that first couple of minutes, those first few drives, I'm like, dude, if that's what we get, Fields is off his beat over and over and over again. We pair that with better linebacker play, we're probably getting off the field a couple times.
Yeah, absolutely. So more of that, please. Less of everything else that we saw.
Wait, I've got four more here. I got four more years. Let's go. All right. So like I said, we're keeping it quick today. All right. I'm going to go to this man right here. Speaking of Tom Iovine and aging like fine wine, you should see this guy. He's 43 years old. I'm like, Tom, you look amazing. He says, you look amazing. We hugged it out. It was really nice, Brandon. He's a great dude. Big Mets fan. All right. So
wait, are you saying that you have to be a big Mets fan to
age like fine wine? Yes. Yeah. Correct. Okay. That's right. That's just, sorry. This is the way. Sorry, Mariners fans. Like, what can I tell you? All right. So, but again, speaking of aging like fine wine, the game wears on. Stuff looks like poop. And Kobe Bryant did not look like poop. Kobe Bryant looked like he might be our starting nickel, or if he's on the outside, he's hanging. He's making plays in the end zone. He's breaking up passes. It was like that next step change where it's like, all right, we know this guy can do this. Yes, he had a little hard time against Pickens, who I think the guy's a really good receiver. And, you tip your hat game one, game two, progress. Kobe Bryant was really good, especially down the stretch in this game. What do you say?
Well, that was one of the things I was watching for because of just how bad it was against Pickens in the first game. And you wonder, oh man, are we really, really bad? Or is this guy really, really good?
Yeah.
And now after you can kind of balance out and see how Kobe played in this game, you can say, okay, yeah, that was Pickens having a really good game against our corners. I don't know if I'm ready if Tariq Woolen has been totally absolved going from last game to this game, but right. Kobe, I thought made enough plays to where it definitely washed that bad taste out of my mouth from the week earlier. And so, yeah, I'm excited to see more Kobe.
See, we could, step by step, we could Patrick Duffy this thing to just a better hawker, folks. And that's what we're doing here because everybody's, we can't do the same thing everybody else is doing. It's 3 and 3 out, for crying out loud. All right. So here's another one for you. All right. I know the dude made a gigantic mistake, and that mistake cost the game essentially, or really the chance to get back in the game. So you're probably like, oh, I know this guy is. And with that, right now, we don't have a third wide receiver. Not that I know, but I don't see one that's like Goodwin is not on the field. D. Eskridge, not on the field. Bo Melton, not catching passes. Unfortunately, he's not catching the ball. Tyreek Young, maybe a bit of a step back from the first game. Could be him. To me, the dude who looks like the guy that can play slot in the NFL is Cade Johnson.
Oh, okay.
I
was planning on building a clone in the next couple weeks with the combination of DNA from Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. And I think that you could like vision that together just in the next couple weeks.
Yeah. I mean, they do it like cartoons like all the time, right? There's like some sort of time lapse thing happens, and then he's out there versus the Broncos. It's all
how
good.
long did it take to build the vision for the Avengers?
No, it was like on the screen, it was like a few minutes, maybe 30 seconds. So
exactly.
We got the emerald green Infinity Stone. We could do these things, right? I'm with you. And the play where Gabe Jackson does the dumb thing and shoves his hands in the guy's face, like, oh, okay, you're an NFL veteran. Great. Don't put your hands in the guy's face mask. Nice pass on time, but there were a couple others. I think he, to me, looks like, okay, he's not going to jump off at the combines. He's not going to be the strongest. He ain't going to be the fastest. Great. Neither was Doug Baldwin. Who cares?
So Cade Johnson is the backup plan if the Infinity Stone and the DNA matching doesn't work. Is this where we're going?
If D. Eskridge somehow cannot get on the field, if Marquise Goodwin cannot get back on the field, yeah. I think, to me, it's like that dude's the most ready receiver out of the bunch. I don't know if you have a feeling about that besides really wanting to rely on, just cybernetics and stuff.
Well, I mean, okay, you threw out two other names, so I guess the Cade Johnson plan is the fourth option. Yeah, you know what? And really, as far as the third wide receiver goes, I'm not really even looking at it as the third option to throw passes to, because you have Noah Fant, you're going to have Will Dissly. Again, you had Tyler Lockett and DK out there for 3 plays each.
Heartbeat. Yep.
And then you got your running backs out of the backfield. So if it ends up being Cade to start things out, and vision takes a couple more weeks of cooking, we'll do that.
We'll do that. Okay, we'll do that. All right. I just want to put the Mama Cleo on there and say, sometimes, not always, because I have my takes, that sometimes my takes turn out. And what I see,
and sometimes you fall in love with a receiver in the preseason and they get cut before week 1.
That's absolutely true. I'm still the biggest the biggest John Ursua truther, the slotness monster himself. Thank you out there, and I still think that guy could play in the NFL. But
Jazz Ferguson, he's going to
Jazz hands Ferguson. Let's go. All right. So enough about the Cade talk. However, I do think he actually has a bit of a track to make this team. All right. Speaking of making the team, this came up on the broadcast, and they're like, well, this guy's putting pressure on some of the incumbents, and who knows, he might get stashed on the practice squad. Listen, Miles Adams needs to make this team. Yes, he's a little undersized. Cool. Don't put him out there on first down. Fine. Second and long, third down. That dude is our most disruptive interior pass rusher. He showed out again. He gets another sack. He is a good and different football player. I look at it like baseball. You got specialists, and the defensive line is becoming more and more and more about when can you plug and play specialist. You bring in a lefty to get 2 lefties out, et cetera, out of the bullpen. Miles Adams has got to make this team. It cannot be Collier because of draft pedigree over a dude who's a better football player. What do you say?
I was wondering if you were going to get to Miles Adams or Phil Haynes first. And
beefy boy forever. He's like the macro set. He's just always there. He's just beefy boy. That's it.
Well, he got his opportunity this week with Lewis going down, unfortunately, and that gave him the opportunity to be more with the first team than I think Adams had, and so I could see that probably happening before. There's just so much depth on the defensive line, on the interior, that I don't know if there's going to be a spot for him. I know you want there to be, but there's going to be Who are you going to cut to make room for Miles Adams?
LJ Collier. He's
Okay.
gone. That's it.
I
He's
think that's
not.
fair.
He's not good enough compared to. We have other guys like him. We don't have other dudes like Miles Adams. He is a unique set. Other guys, we have dudes who do what Collier does.
Yeah.
No, thank you. So that's the answer. Funny enough, I don't have Beefy Boy on my six, which is fine. I'm glad. This is why not take a Brandon while we're at it. We're already breaking the rules, so which is great. All right, quick one on this one. I think Mike Jackson's a good cornerback.
Yeah.
I think he's good. I think, it's depth or a backup piece or spot start. The dude goes in there and he just makes plays and he doesn't look out of position. He tackles, he breaks things up. He had a play was it late quarter 2 when we were down 10-0, 40-yard line. And, he fires off the edge. That was a play where he fired off the edge and made a really good tackle too. He came up off the line, made an awesome tackle right by the line, forced a punt. That was the punt that gets muffed, and the way they go, they get the touchdown. But
why are you reminding me of this right now?
Yeah, right, exactly. But let's go back to the good play. Mike Jackson is a good dude off the edge. He can tackle soundly, and I just think he's a solid NFL corner. So to find a dude like that, like late last year, put him in, get him some reps when we needed bodies, whatever. Maybe he's coached up. Maybe they just found a diamond in the rough. Mike Jackson's going to make this team. He's a good football player.
Who should make the team in terms of the secondary? How would you slot these two names? Michael Jackson being one and Josh Jones being number 2.
I don't know.
If you have one spot left in the secondary, which one of those guys are you keeping?
Yeah, I know. I'm going to say Mike Jackson because I'm on the Mike Jackson train here. But yeah, Mike Jackson, they're both good. They're both pretty darn good football players. So, it's and unfortunately, we didn't get to see some players. Carroll talked about that in the presser. That's just especially on the offensive side, just not enough snaps to go around, not enough plays to go around to actually see these dudes. And then when the special teams does what it does, negative land, it shortens the field, and and their drives are super short. Okay? We don't even have that much time on the defense. So, Mike Jackson. How about you? Would you go the opposite, or you like him better?
I might go the opposite, but I know that either one. Marquise Blair is the guy I'm getting rid of. Like you named your guy LJ Collier that you would get rid of. I think I would at this point. If we're doing the Homer Simpson route.
That's why it was so hard to cut you. Unfortunately, man, the dude was just hitting the Tecmo Bowl. Blair, that is, hitting the Tecmo Bowl, maybe the B button with the dive and just missing, just whiffing, whiff. Unfortunate to watch Ugo and then Blair. Who knows what will happen with Blair, but to watch Ugo get cut last week essentially, and Blair's got to be on the chopping block, which is just stinks for that draft class and what we thought we might have had there. So, but say la vie. To the next. Speaking of to the next, I think I got one more. I think this is it.
Oh,
Brandon.
All right.
This is it. We're wrapping this thing up. Nice tidy 3 in 3 out this week. Okay. I want to say that when I hopped on some other pods and reaction shows, they were so friggin' negative on Geno Smith. Geno can't this, that. While I was waiting for you guys to get on, you and Adam, for the reaction show. I was on a few others. I won't name them. And they were just railing and just going off about how bad Geno Smith was. Now, I will say, I'm a Drew Lock truther. I think Drew Lock should be QB1. And I think Drew Lock is a better NFL quarterback. And with that, I'll even compile that and say Geno got worse as the game went on. His second half of his first half was worse. However, he made some great throws and he just got no help, zero help whatsoever. Whether that was Swain, the aforementioned Gabe Jackson to the helmet that took away Cade Johnson's nice first down, and some other throws. I don't think Geno is a world beater. Aaron Rodgers, he is not. He played well. He didn't deserve he did not deserve what he got. Where it was they associated the 0 at the half with him. Oh, yeah. It was not Geno Smith. He played better than that.
I love that you and Adam are both coming to Geno's defense on this. I don't have to do anything. I can do things like, I don't know, call out a couple of people in the Discord who gave some in since we're only doing positives and we're keeping this short. You got Jeremy Green with the in Abraham Lucas pancake blocking number 99 on a DJ Dallas run play.
Yes.
Got Frost in for Jacob Eason, making things fun at the end, and in for the onside kick recovery. Frost again in for Kobe. Nice pass breakup on third. That was part of that goal line stand. And mentions the in for the goal line stand on the following play. And Hawk Van Dyke, an in for Clinton and Brandon, only having to do half the work this year.
I love it. Thank you for rolling right into From the Flock. Obviously, as the season gets going, we'll do the full version. But hey, this was truncated. This is going to be the 6 ends. And remember the reason, folks. This was to cleanse the Hawk rug, turn the page from a grotesque game, look at 6 things that were actually pretty darn okay to very good, and be like, you know what? If that's our worst, if that's the floor, with all these players that are not going to be on the team in a couple of weeks, fine, do it now, because we're a better football team than that.
Or do it during the season, and we have a top 5 draft pick.
Right. If it comes to that, Brandon, I still believe I'm holding true to my my plus 5.5 that Vegas says we're only going to win those many games. By the way, the odds are getting better after that performance. So if you want to take the Seahawks, now's a good time to lay that wood, because after that performance, people are rushing to bet the under. So take the over, take more money.
I can see why people would do that based on that appearance.
I can too.
Hey, they played another bottom 5 expected team in the Chicago Bears, and it looked like they got embarrassed. So.
Yeah, they got waxed. We got waxed. Hey, that's a-okay. And with that, Brandon, we will wrap it. We got lots of things coming up this week, so please remind the folks where they could find all the goodness, and maybe a little hint at to what's coming up this week as we get prepared for the Cowboys, right?
It is coming up, and then from there we got the big game. Oh, I can't wait. I'm kind of interested even in this final preseason game to see what they do and how they approach Drew Lock going into this final game. Will we get to see the hose one last time?
Well, the hose has got to get healthy, right? So apparently he actually was, he got hit hard. He got hit hard, and that happens, obviously. And he's got to get healthy and get right so he can play in the game. That's number one. He's got to be able to play. Then I suspect Carroll, hearing the press conference from the podium episode that we put out like just yesterday, this morning. My gut is that Carroll understands that some of his top dudes need some reps, and he's got to make a wholesale amount of changes. There's a lot of dudes that are going to get home.
We're getting a lot of information. We're getting a lot of information.
And none of it's good, right? So there's going to be a lot of cuts. There's going to be a lot of rotation. Obviously, special teams is just a straight up clean it up, and they will, because they're going to have more talented people in there. But I suspect strongly we're going to see more of the starters than you normally would for this third game, which is kind of just a sit it and play, literally play the pups, as he said, because we have not gotten enough reps. I think Carroll senses that. But number one is Drew's got to be healthy, and Drew has to play the first half, an entire half, and see what he can do. If it feels different, and I think it might, then he wins. Then it's over. He wins the battle, and we go into, back to Lumen, and the Broncos come over, and then Drew Lock beats Russell Carrington Wilson.
Drew Lock, Geno Smith, as long as we get the win. And if you want to come in and enjoy this along with us, subscribe on YouTube, hit the like button for the videos, and subscribe to wherever you listen to your podcast. But also do it on YouTube, because you may be getting this on the YouTube feed before you get it in the podcast feed. And so if you want to watch it first, you just go to the YouTube and it'll show up in your podcast feed eventually. It's just how we're working things sometimes.
Yeah, and then Adam's plopping small little vignettes in there, right? Every now and again, he's doing his rants, and those are wildly popular, by the way. I love it. I'm like, dude, he's getting 99 comments, 100 comments on his short form vids. It's great. So yeah, wherever you choose to listen or watch, if you like YouTube, then you get to look at us. And I don't know if that floats your boat. Well, then let us know.
It might be a bonus that you want, but maybe not.
Yeah, it's like the Seahawks. I don't know. Maybe it was good. Maybe it was dreadful. We'll find out, Brandon.
How it goes.
Yep.
And I think with that, Clinton,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.